Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Nat Fashion Hub, the best fashion channel in the world. So today I want us to learn how to divide our trouser measurements when making a trouser. A lot of persons have been asking these questions: how to divide, how to know the right way to divide measurement when cutting a trouser. So I am putting this video together so that it will teach us, it will aid us, it will explain to us why we divide our measurements, the way we divide them when cutting a trouser, and how to divide it so as to get an accurate result when cutting a trouser. Now, if you look at this trouser, for example, the waist area has 4 pieces. We have the 2 front pieces, you see, and the 2 back pieces. If you come to the tie or the lap, you see, it has only 2 pieces, the front and the back. So when you are cutting your trouser, the waist measurement, you divide it by what? 4, adding allowance to it. When you come to the tie, you also divide it not by 4 again, but by 2, because the tie area has only 2 pieces, the front piece and the back piece. When you get to the knee point, which is located half length of the trouser, you divide the measurement for the knee by 2, because at the knee point, the trouser also has only 2 parts, 2 pieces. Same thing at the ankle, the trouser only has 2 pieces, so you divide the ankle measurement also by 2. The length of the trouser, you don't divide it by anything, you only add 2 inches hemming allowance to it. The hip measurement is the same thing, you divide the hip measurement by 4, because the hip area is still at a point where the trouser has 4 pieces. You see, I mark my hip area 8 inches from the 7 inches from the waist, you see, so 7 inches is still where the trouser has 4 parts, so you divide the hip measurement also by 4. Now let's take an example, the tie measurement. For instance, if you are working for a customer that has a tie measurement of 24, how will you divide this measurement so that when you are done making the trouser, you will still have 24? You will simply divide 24 by 2. And if you divide 24 by 2, what will you have? You will have 12. Okay, so which means the front piece of the trouser is carrying 12 inches, while the back piece will also carry 12 to make it 24. But mind you, the front piece of the trouser is always smaller than the back piece. As you can even see here, look at this trouser, you can tell that the front piece is smaller because look at the end point and look at the back piece. So the front piece is smaller than the back piece. So for that reason, when you are cutting your trouser, the front piece of the trouser, let me show us. For example, let's say we are cutting a trouser that has a length for it. Let's look for a small trouser that has a length of, let's say, 28 for a child. Let's say 29, length of 29. And for this, let's use a waist of 26. And when you are cutting, you divide your waist measurement by 4, right? Because we've established that because the waist has 4 parts. So if you divide the waist measurement by 4, if you have divide 26 by 4, you'll be having 6.5. This is 6.5, and we'll add ½ inch allowance to it. We'll come back to the waist. I want us to finish with the tie. We'll come back to the waist. So added ½ inch allowance to the 6.5 that we got, making 7. So the next thing now we're supposed to get is our crotch, and we know that our crotch is waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch. So since the waist is divided by 4, we have 6.5 plus 1 inch, that is 7.5. So this is where the crotch will be. Where the crotch will be. Crotch length will be. This is our crotch length. Now, mind you, to locate our hip, you can simply just mark 2 inches above the crotch length to locate your hip. And for this trouser, let's give this trouser a hip of 32. So if we divide 32 by 4, you'll be having 8. See, so this is our 8 here. Still giving it plus half inch allowance, that becomes 8.5. You see, yeah. So coming to our tie now. Our tie, we said we had the person has this tie. We are using a tie of 24, and 24 divided by 2 will give you what? Will give you 12, which means our front piece of the trouser is carrying what? 12. We will drop that. We'll mark that 12. 24 divided by 2. Sorry. We say our tie is 22. 22, not 24. We're using a tie of 22, not 24. So when you divide our 22 by 2, you'll be having what? You'll be having 11 inches. So this is 11 inches. We're using a tie of 22. Sorry for that mistake. Our tie we're using is not 24, it's 22 feet. So if we divide 22 by 2, and I told you why we divide tie by 2, because at the tie point it doesn't have 2 parts. So if we divide 22 by 2, you have what? 11 inches. Now, we are not going to add any half inch to these 11 pieces. To this 11 inches, we are not adding any half inch. Now, this is it. This is this crotch line. Turn it from here to the waist. See? So, we are not adding any inch to this 11. Why is it so? When we come to cut our back piece, we are going to add 2 inches to this 11 to locate our what? Our back piece, which means our front piece is 11 and our back piece will be using 13. So front is equal to what? 11, and back is equal to what? 13. But if you add 13 to 11, you will have what? You have 24. That is more than our tie. Now, how can we now get this 22 back? Mind you, when you come to sew the front piece, this is our front piece. We are using 11 for the tie. By the time you sew half inch this side, half inch this side, that are reduced by 1 inch, reducing this 11 to what? To 10. The same thing with the back piece. By the time you sew both sides, you have reduced this 13 by 1 inch. It has now become what? 12. So 10 plus 12 will give you 22. We have returned back to our tie of 22. That is why you divide tie by 2 and you use the front piece exactly whatever you get without adding anything, because the back piece is coming with 2 inches that will take care of what? The whole allowance. For example, now funnily, the front piece ate an allowance of 1 inch, the back piece also consume allowance of 1 inch, making 2 inches. And is that the same thing as the 2 inches you are adding for the back piece is the same 2 inches that is being consumed as allowance. So you see, it's very simple and it's straightforward. Now let's look at the half length of this trouser. The length of this trouser, we said we are using 29. Half length, that will be 11, that will be 14.5. So this is 14.5 here. So if we look at the half length of this trouser here, and we want to take our tie, our knee measurement. Mind you, we have to locate the center of the trouser. This is here. So we can take our, so this is 4.5. So let's get that 4.5 here, so that we can get our center line to locate the knee measurement. So for this trouser, we said our knee measurement is 14, right? So if we divide 14 by 2, you are having, sorry, this line didn't come straight. If we divide 14 by 2, you are having 7.5. So this is 3.5 this side here, 3.5 this side here. Divide 14 by 2, you have what? 7. So 7, how can we get our 7 at this point? Keep up, I'll take 3.5 this side, 3.5 this side, and keep getting our 7. So it means this is shape of our trouser. Now the knee points and the ankle, they both of them, you don't add any allowance when taking the measurement. That is why we divided 14 by 2, we got 7, and we use 7 here exactly. Because the 2 inches we are adding for the back piece is uniform. If we come down to the ankle, you see the ankle of this trouser, this is the length of the trouser. So the ankle we are using 12. So 12 divided by 2, that will give you 6, which means 3 inches this way, 3 inches this way. This is 6. Sorry, this is what, 6. Sorry, I hope you are following. If you are not, if you are lost, please you can just take the video back a little and look at it more closely. So this is, see, so you can look at this, you can see that even for our ankle measurement we did not add any allowance. We are using 12, that is 6. You see, divide the ankle by 2, that is 6. Ankle measurement by 2, that is 6. But the same way we got our thigh after the calculation we did, the same thing, the same way you are going to get your knee round and your ankle round, which means this 2 inches you are adding here is uniform. When you are coming to cut the back piece, you are adding 2 inches at the thigh point, at the knee point, and at the ankle point. You see, so these 2 inches, which is serving as our back piece, is the allowance that is making up for you not adding any allowance at the front piece. Do you understand? If you had added allowance at the front piece, then coming to add 2 inches on the back piece again, this, after you are done with sewing your trouser, the knee measurement will be bigger than what you had expected, the ankle will be bigger, and the thigh will be bigger. For example, our knee here, let's check our knee. Our knee, we said we're using a knee of 14, right? And divided by 2 we have 7, so we're using 7 here. Alright, we use 7 here. Coming to the back point, instead of using 7 on the back piece, we added 2 inches, making what? Making 9. So if you add 9 by 7, you are having what? 16. This is bigger than your knee point. But how will you now get your 14 back? By the time you sew this trouser, when you are sewing, you eat half inch here, half inch here. You have reduced the knee, the front piece by 1 inch, which means our 7 has reduced to what? To 6. The same thing, the back piece, which is 9, which you use 9, after sewing, it will reduce to what? 8 inches. And if you add 8 by 6, you have what? 14, which is your what? Your knee point. Please, I believe this is clear. It is clear. So let's come to the waist. Now, even the waist, when you are dividing the waist measurement, I said you divide the waist by 4. We have passed that stage. And for this person, we're using the waist of 26. We divided by 4 and we got 6.5. And we added half inch allowance. This is serving as the zip allowance. Alright? The zip allowance. Now, since we are using it, it has become what? It has become 7 inches instead of 6.5. When we come to the back piece, we are going to add 2 inches to this 7 inches. Making what? Making 9 inches. So our back piece, we are going to add 2 inches. This is 2 inches. Making what? 9 inches. So our back piece is coming with what? 2 inches. Making it 9 inches. So if you add 9 plus this 7 we have here, 7 is equal to what? 16. Right? If we add 9 plus 7 is equal to what? It's equal to 16. Now, which means the front piece, each one of it is carrying what? 7 inches. And the back piece, each one of it is carrying what? Is carrying 9 inches. Right? So since the front piece, one is carrying 7 inches, if you multiply 7 inches by 2, it means one front piece is carrying what? 14 inches. Are we following? Now the back piece as well, since the back pieces are 2 and one is carrying 9 inches, you multiply 9 by 2, you have what? You have 18. And by the time you add 18 to 14, you are having, so 14 plus 18 will give you 32, which is way bigger than what? 26, which is our normal waist size. Now let me show you something. How can we now get our 26 back from this 32? The front piece here each of these lines sewn on this trouser at the waist area is consuming 1 inch, except this back, which is consuming what, 3 inches. You can confirm with your tape. It's consuming what, 3 inches. Now if you remove 1 inch, and this is 1 inch plus 1 inch plus 1 inch, that is 3 inches, plus 3 inches here, that becomes what, 6 inches. Now 32, which you have here, minus 6 will give you what, 26 inches. I think you should clap for me at this point. I deserve an applause. So you see, 32 minusing 6 inches has given us about 26 inches. That is why we add that number of inches to our back piece, because the back piece here, why give allowance of 3 inches? Most of the times people add weight and it affects mostly the waist area. If you don't add this allowance here and your customer adds weight, the trouser may become useless, because there will be no allowance to open the trouser to accommodate the present size of the customer. So it's very important that you add 3 inches allowance at the back for the trouser. So this calculation, when you do it, it gives you an allowance at the back of 3 inches when you are done making the trouser. If you don't want to reach 3 inches, you can reduce this allowance of 2 here by making it 1.5, or you can remove this half here, and but I don't think it will be better. The best thing to do is to give you 2 inches at the back, leave this allowance to be here for the customer in case the customer wants an expansion of the trouser. So I think we have done justice to this class. Thank you so much. If you have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on, because much more interesting videos are going to be coming your way. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Nat Fashion Hub. Thank you.